Hi everyone, Retro Amir here, back again with another pickups video. So over the weekend, more specifically on Saturday, I spent a considerable amount of time at my local CEX in Sutton Coldfield. And I actually picked up around 35 or 36 games in total. And these stem from Wii U games, GameCube games, PlayStation 2 games and PS1 games. Importantly, I actually went back to CEX to pick up the PS1 games, and this is perhaps a tip that you may want to use in the future. CEX often have a large stock of games that are not on display because they don't have the room for them, and particularly the retro games. Therefore, I asked the member of staff to kindly help me, and they provided me a list of all the PS1 games that they have in the back that is not on the shelves. So I carefully went through these list of games, and I picked out quite a few PS1 games that I'd like to add to my collection. Another thing to note is that there's quite a few games on the Wii U, on the GameCube, that I already own. However, I think that this is a perfect time for collectors like myself and collectors like you. The Wii U games at CEX are so cheap that it just seems common sense that we should be picking them up now. Because if you're getting games for £3 or £4, you can potentially use this as trade in the future. So we'll end with the PS1 games because I think most of the higher priced games are actually from the PS1 console. So let's go through them. So we start off with the PS3. So we got Adventure Time, The Secret of the Nameless Kingdom is the name. Pretty sure I don't own this. All the games are boxed and complete, and some of the games, the discs, were not in the best condition, so I asked for the member of staff to get some of them resurfaced. Skea 4 on the PS3, this was £6, and so was the previous game. Iron Man, that was £10, just checking if I definitely did have the manual for this, because I can't remember opening that one. Disgaea 3, that was also £6 on the PS3. So we got 4 PS3 games in total. I only picked up one Wii game, but it's definitely a game that I don't own. And that is, I don't even know how to pronounce this, Tatsunoko vs Capcom Ultimate All-Stars. And that was £22, and it's in really nice condition. Boxed and complete. Then we have 2 Xbox 360 games. Nothing special here. Borderlands 2 with the outer sleeve for £1.50. And Leisure Suit Larry Box Office Bust on the 360 as well, and that was £10. Then we have 3 games on the GameCube. And the first 2 I already own, and that is Resident Evil, that was £8, and Star Wars Rogue Squadron, which was £6. Now the reason why I picked these games up is because they're boxed and complete, and the discs were in very nice condition. I thought it's something that I can use as trade in the future. But I'm pretty sure this is a game that I don't own. I'll have to check. I don't remember seeing it, and considering it in my earlier pickups video, I got the Godzilla for the PS2 game. So we got Godzilla Destroy All Monsters. I think it's the same game as the PlayStation 2 one that I bought, and this was £22. Now we're coming on to the Wii U games. As I mentioned, most of these games are already owned, but because they were so cheap, and you'll see how cheap the prices are, I decided to pick them up again. And the first one is Lego Marvel Superheroes, which was £2.50. Batman Arkham City, which was £4. I got 2 copies of this because they were so cheap and in good condition. Splatoon 1, and both of them were £4 each. Super Smash Bros, as you can see, £6. I definitely think that collectors should be going to their CEX stores and picking up the Wii U games because they're so cheap, and I think they'll be harder to find in the future, considering that the Wii U didn't sell very well. Then we have Lego Movie the video game, which was £2.50. Wonderful 101, which was £12. Once again, I picked up 2 copies of the same game because they were £4 each, and they were Mario Kart 8 for £4 each. I think you can't be going wrong. Splinter Cell Blacklist was £8. Sports Connection, which I don't actually think I have this, which was £3. This was more expensive than I thought it was going to be, but I thought, why not get picking it up because of the condition. And that was 007 Legends James Bond. That was £18. And the final game on the Wii U was Assassin's Creed 3, which was £3. Then we have 2 original Xbox games. And I'm sure I don't own these, and that was Thief, Deadly Shadows, which was £6, and Wings of War. Now, some of the viewers may be asking, because I say this multiple times, that I think I don't own some of these games. Why am I not using an app? Well, I was using an app. I had most of my games tracked into, I think it was called something. I can't remember the exact name of the app. But it got corrupted and I didn't have a backup file of the saved games, so they all disappeared. So when I started doing these videos, these pickup videos, the whole purpose was to sort out the games room because it's a mess, and to retrack, count and stock all the games that I do have. And if I have doubles, triples, that's okay, because I'm always making trades and I'm sure I can use them in the future. Now we have one PlayStation 2 game before moving on to the 10 or so PlayStation 1 games. And I don't own this game, and that is Spy Fiction. Spy Fiction. I don't think I've ever seen this before. It's boxed and complete, in really nice condition. Please let me know in the comments if you've played this, and whether it's any good. It says it's stealth, and the graphics look quite nice, to be honest, but that doesn't mean anything. It's all about gameplay. So if you've played this game before, Spy Fiction, please let me know if it's any good. Okay, so I'll move this out the way, and we can go on to the PlayStation 1 games. And as I mentioned, this is where the money was spent, and because these games were stocked in the back of CEX, the prices are not on the cases, but I do have the receipt, so I can tell you how much. So here's the receipt, so I can tell you how much I paid for each of the games, because as I mentioned, these PlayStation 1 games were not on display. They keep games in the back, which they don't have room to display, so I asked them for their list and I picked these games out from there. So the first game is Ace Combat 2, Black Box Edition, boxed and complete. Yep, everything's there. And I've checked all the discs already for the PS1. And Ace Combat 2 was £25. So I don't know if you can see this, but it was £25 for Ace Combat 2. And I'll keep the best to last. I know this was £15 because I checked Final Fantasy VIII Platinum. All discs are there. It's complete. Little crack on the case. The only reason I purchased this is because my version of Final Fantasy VIII, I know that I always have issues with disc 1. So I thought I'd just buy another one. It's only £15, so I picked that up as well for myself. So I'm going to keep all what I think are the more interesting games to the end. So considering we went through Ace Combat 2, we also have Ace Combat 3 Platinum version. That's boxed and complete, and Ace Combat 3 was £8. So Ace Combat 1 was Ace Combat 2 was £25. Ace Combat 3 in CX was £8. Probably more sales of that particular game. Now we have Classics version of Jurassic Park Warpath. Don't own this game. I'm pretty sure I don't own this game, and it seems like a fighter Seems like a fighter. So I'll have to give that a go. Boxed and complete, everything's there. And then we have White Label. Definitely don't own this. Sorry, with Warpath, Jurassic Park, I didn't actually give you the price, how much that cost. So let me just check. That was £15 as well. Next game, Guilty Gear, White Label version, and this case and everything inside is in mint condition. So, classic Guilty Gear, which one is it? It's just Guilty Gear, yeah. So on the White Label, that cost me £20 for Guilty Gear. Then we come on to more interesting games, and as you have probably seen, this game, the Black Label Alien Resurrection, has been going up in value. Now, I've noticed that this game has been increasing in price, and I was sure I had it in my collection. But after reviewing my PS1 games, I only had 2 copies of Alien Trilogy, which is not I don't think it holds much value, whereas this game has been going up quite a bit in value. So I decided to buy it. The case was nice, instructions, manual, everything in nice condition. And the Alien Resurrection was... where is it? Oh, there. £35. £35 for Alien Resurrection. Next game, Bloody Roar 2. Bloody Roar 2. And that is complete. And Bloody Roar 2 was £25. Then we're getting on to the more exciting games. Street Fighter Alpha 3. Street Fighter Alpha 3. And once again in really nice condition. I'm sure it must be the same person trading them in. Really nice condition, boxed and complete. Street Fighter Alpha 3. And that was £25. £25. The next game is the second but last, Gundam Battle Assault. Gundam Battle Assault. That was complete. Everything's there. And that was, just finding on the list, £38. It was a little bit more expensive, £38. Now the final game, I've heard of this game, I've never owned it, and I was so glad that it was there. Quite pricey, not crazy, but quite a pricey game, and that is Rival Schools. Rival Schools, another beat 'em up by Capcom, and it looks great, and I've heard good things about this, so let me know if you own this copy, and if you have played it in the past, whether it's any good. And it has 2 discs. 2 discs. And this was the pricier one, and that was Rival Schools on the PS1 was £68, so it was actually more than I remember. I thought it was about 50, but £68 for Rival Schools. So those were the PS1 pickups, and as I mentioned, the prices are not on the front because these games were kept in the back, therefore I asked for them and they got them out for me. And in total there are 11 PS1 games, and I paid, just for the PlayStation 1 games, £274.20. So you can see the list of games, and you should be able to see the price at the bottom somewhere. Yeah, there's the price. There's 11 games in total, £274. And with regards to the Wii U, the GameCube, some of the Xbox games I showed you earlier, that was also from the same CEX, but these games were on display, and I purchased that on a separate transaction, and that was £196.50. £196.50 for 26 games there. So I bought 11 games for 274 and 226 games for less than 200. Just goes to show how expensive some of these PlayStation 1 games are. So my advice to you is, collectors, go into CEX. You often look into the glass cabinets or some of the shelves that they have, and you sometimes get a little bit disappointed in terms of the variety of stock of games that are available on display. However, it's always worthwhile asking members of staff, what do you have behind the shelves which haven't been displayed yet or haven't been processed properly, because the prices are not even on there. And I was so pleased that these games were there, because some of these games are games which you don't typically see in CEX, and most of the PS1 games, I think it was only 2 games, Final Fantasy VIII and probably Ace Combat 3, which I already own, but most of the PlayStation 1 games will be going all directly into my collection. So that was my bundle. It was quite a big bundle, spent for over £400 on these games, nearly £500 actually on these games, but half of them will be used as trade bait in the future. So yeah, that was my bundle. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please make sure to comment on anything that you find interesting, and like and subscribe. Take care everyone. Bye.